Welcome back to Cuckoo Clock Yoga. We're starting something a little bit different. We found that, especially with our internet, uploading daily was quite a task. So instead we're going to be doing a weekly routine where every Sunday I record and post. But what I'm doing in my own personal practice is what you see on Sunday is what I've done pretty well every day the week before. So there's a weekly program that we are going to be working on, and it's taken from this book here by, just find the name so that I pronounce it properly, Selvarajan Yesudian. He's the Indian fellow who brought yoga to Europe in the early part of the 50s, and he wrote this book together with Elisabeth Haich, and it was translated out of the German later on. But it's a very nice book. It has tables of exercises, and it goes week by week. So we're basically going to be following this book. So this is not my idea. I have no claim to having invented any of this, but I hope you enjoy it. I'll be posting it, like I said, every Sunday. And when she can, Minik will join me, and we will enjoy this.
And then you can do it daily if you want during the week, or, once or twice, however much you can manage.
Exactly. So you do it at your own pace, and you just know that every Sunday there will be something new coming. And we're going to try to do this for an entire year because that's what's in the book. The exercises, they alternate between breathing exercises and physical exercises. At least at the beginning, the physical exercises are very easy, and so it should be a nice, easy way to get back into yoga because maybe you're like me and you haven't done it for a while. And I will also be posting at the bottom, I guess in the text portion of the YouTube video, the exercises by name, so that, say you've done it once or twice, you don't need to see the video, you don't need to hear us, you just need to see the names of the poses, and then you can just have it on your phone, just have it next to you and do it yourself. That's really what the goal is of yoga, is for all of us to get our own practice, and maybe this will help you define or get some nice, easy practice that you enjoy and that works for you. So we're going to start off with full yogic breathing in just cross-legged pose. Sit up straight, and we'll do 7 full inhales, counting to 8 for the inhale, counting for for the exhale.
Sorry, 8 for inhale and 8 for exhale.
Correct. 7 times in total. Done, you just come to breathing normally. Remember, a full yogic breath is one where you fill the belly, and then the ribs push out slightly, and then at the very end the collarbones lift gently, but the air flows all the way down through pulling the diaphragm down. To do that, your belly has to come forwards. So we're not on a beach here, we're not in our beach wear, so it's perfectly fine if your belly comes forward. The next exercise is kumbhaka. It's sort of the same thing, breathing in for 8 and then we hold it. Now hold it for as long as works for you. If you've done this for a long time, then you can maybe hold it for a count of 32. Normally the pattern is you do it in groups of 8, so hold it for 8, hold it for 16, hold it for 24, hold it for 32. If you have high blood pressure, I would recommend that you not hold, but just that you do what we've just done, inhale and exhale. We're only going to do it twice anyways, so do which works for you, either with retention or without.
So again, sorry, I breathe in for
8. We're going to hold for 8 because we're doing this at the beginning. If you have done this before, you can hold for 16, 24, 32, whatever multiple works for you. I'm just going to hold for 8 just as a demonstration. Inhale. Inhale. Exhale. Now the reason why this is not necessarily recommended for high blood pressure is because it activates the thyroid gland, and that then gets the blood pressure a little bit more active. So if you've got low blood pressure, this is said to be a very excellent exercise for you. The next one, Ujjayi. Again, if you have high blood pressure, don't do the second part where we exhale on a s. It's the same sort of thing as the previous exercise, only now we're also going to be squeezing the lungs. And to squeeze the lungs, to get the air out, to exercise the lungs in that way, we have to restrict the flow of air coming out. One way of doing that is by making a s sound. So you almost close off the inside of your mouth using your tongue and the roof of your mouth to make a small gap. So you hear that S sound like a tire that's losing its air. And we're going to do that 3 times. And the same pattern. Inhale, we're going to hold for 8, and then the exhale, we're going to make that S sound for 8. Inhale. 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 Good. So you can regulate how much squeezing your lungs have to do to get the air out by regulating how tightly you close that off in your mouth. So those are the breathing exercises. The first physical exercise is Vakrasana, the first phase of it. Here you get to see that I just mowed the lawn. Bottom of my feet are all full of grass. Extend your left leg. Pull the right heel in as close as you can. Hug your knee into your body and sit straight. You want to engage your core so that your stomach comes forward and there's no rounding in the lower back. And we're going to hold this for 5 breaths.
Can you explain what you're doing with this leg as well? Because the last time you...
Right. So this leg, I've engaged the thigh muscle, I've engaged the core so that I'm not lifting the leg off the ground, but I'm removing some of the weight so that it's not just resting on the ground, but I've engaged the muscles in the core enough to sort of lightly lift that leg. That keeps the lower back nice and flat and keeps it safe. Switch legs, extend the right, pull in the left, engage the muscles of the right leg to gently remove weight off the ground, squeeze in the left knee. switch. We do this twice for each leg. From the left leg, get to engage the right leg. And release. The next exercise requires us to be able to kneel on the ground like this. If this is not comfortable for you, then find a towel, roll it up nice and tight, put it underneath the ends of your shins so that there's not so much pressure on your ankles and on your toes. It also helps if you can cross one big toe over the other rather than have them side by side pressing against each other. That relieves some of the pressure on the ankles, because then they can tip in a little bit. Over time, try to find a thinner and thinner towel to put underneath your ankles so that you stretch out your shins and open up your ankles. Take two fists, put them close to the end of your thigh bones up in your hip. Now the idea of this exercise is that as we lean forward and exhale, our fists are going to push into our stomachs. That's going to not only push out more air, but it's also going to squeeze the internal organs. And then when we inhale and come back up, blood flows into them. So that gets some movement going in the lymph and in the blood vessels of the internal organs. So fists on your thighs, we do this 3 times. No, twice, sorry. Lining up, no, 3 times. We're going to inhale. Exhale, lean forward. As soon as all the air is out, inhale and come up. As soon as you're full, exhale, lean forward. Last time. Probably goes without saying to do this on a relatively empty stomach, not after a huge turkey dinner. Next is Matsyasana, or fish pose. Now the book and the official version of fish pose is that you put your feet into full lotus, or your legs into full lotus, grab onto your toes, and then lie back. I am not a fan of full lotus. I used to do full lotus, and after a while I noticed I was getting sore knees. My knees were clicking. So I have stopped doing full lotus. I do not like doing full lotus, and so I will show a different version of Matsyasana. If you're a lotus person, I leave it up to you to decide. We're doing fish.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah, and she will demonstrate sideways fish, which is very handy because then you'll see where the hands go. So lie down, lift your hips up, put your hands palm down underneath your hips. And then push your elbows into the ground, lifting your torso up as high as you can. Keep lifting your collarbones, arching through your back. And with an inhale, let your head fall back. And then you slide along the ground till the top of your head touches the floor. Keep that arch in your back. Next inhale, push up again, lift your head. We're going to just lie down briefly on the ground. Keep your arms where they are. If they're going numb, then pull them out, give them a shake, and put them back. Otherwise, push your elbows into the ground. This time try to rock side to side to get your elbows a little closer. You want to have lots of space in your collarbones, nicely spread open. Then inhale, head falls back, and you bring the crown of your head to the ground. Push your elbows into the floor, lift your head, lie down. Take your hands out from underneath. Interlace your fingers behind your head. Using just your arms, lift your head gently so you can look down at your toes. Then release. And come back up. Next, we're going to do Bhujangasana or Cobra pose, and if you could stay there, then people can see what that looks like from the side too. That'd be very handy. Cobra pose is something we've all heard of and we all probably know how to do. But I'm going to ask you to put your hands right underneath your shoulders, tuck your elbows in as tight as you can and keep them in tight. Leave your head low until you've brought your torso up as high as you want to bring it, and only then lift your head. So the inhale, bring the torso up, and then the head comes forward. And we stay here for 3 breaths. And come down. I'm going to rest here for a moment. Now don't make the mistake of coming up too high. There's really no value in bringing that part of your belly that's between your belly button and your pelvis up off the ground. And coming too high also encourages you to arch your back too much. It is possible to arch your back too much. There are spinal processes in our spine that prevent us arching too far. And there are yogis that have gone far too far with this exercise far too often, and they've damaged those spinal processes. So this is just meant to open up the front, not allow you to be a contortionist. Again, inhale, come up, roll the shoulders back, look forward. You can see I'm not coming up terribly high. There's no discomfort in my back. There should not be any discomfort in your back. Exhale, come down. Roll your hips side to side if you want to release any tension in your back. And the last time, elbows tuck in, inhale. Lift the torso, lift the head. Feel like there's length extending out through the crown of your head down to your toes. You want extension here, not just lifting and cranking up. And exhale, come down. And then come back onto your backs. Now the next pose is going to be one where we lift our feet up into the air. Depending on your body, you're going to want to do one of 2 versions. For me, I have been told by my eye doctor that I have I have an elevated pressure in my eyeballs that might lead to glaucoma. And the only yogic pose, or the only yogic poses that you're supposed to avoid with glaucoma are ones where the heart comes above the head. So this version, I'm going to be lying flat on my back. I'm going to lift my legs only so that my heart stays at the same level as my eyes. Monique doesn't have this issue, so she's going to show the full version where she comes up higher. Her hips are coming off the ground and her feet are going to be angling up over her head. This is not a shoulder stand. There should be really no pressure on the back of your neck. You're making a very lazy angle with the torso coming up, bending at the hips and the feet come over the head. And we will stay here for just a few moments, then we come down again. The benefit for us is similar here. The idea is to reduce the blood pressure in the legs, reduce the appearance of varicose veins, the next version is just more effective in that than my version, but I'm going to stick with what I'm doing. And if I'm finding this difficult to hold, I can take my hands, put them behind my legs, and just hold them with my arms too. Bring yourself down. Rest for a moment.
This is not easy to do on uneven ground. That hurt.
Hurt where?
I was on a lump.
Oh, hurt your shoulders?
Yeah, well, yeah, I was just right on a lump.
You may want to shift then.
Yeah, I'm going to shift.
And then come back up.
Try again.
If you're indoors, you can do my version at the wall as well. You just put your feet on the wall. You can put your feet on a couch. The idea is just to get your feet higher than your heart. And then bring everything down. Just rest for a moment on your back. And then for the third and final time, come up. And then come back down. Lie there for a moment. And then come to seated. So the next two exercises in the book are meditation for 5 minutes and corpse pose or shavasana for 5 minutes. I do those in silence. Probably not much point in having the tape running so you can see me sit here and not move for 5 minutes and then lie down and not move and say anything for 5 minutes. So we're going to close off now, and then you can on your own do the meditation for 5 minutes and do your own corpse pose for 5 minutes. It also saves on upload time. Now, the recommendation is that you do the meditation in cross-legged pose, And at the beginning, we sat our normal way. This time, I would recommend that you switch so the opposite shin is in front so that you get used to that as well. Then you sit there for 5 minutes, being very careful to watch out for the lower back, the position of the head, and then choose whatever form of meditation works for you and enjoy, and then lie down for corpse pose for about 5 minutes. So,
if I may say, a way to incentivize yourself if you want to try to do this more than once a week, even daily, is maybe to put in the comments when you've done it, so you know that somebody will be watching and maybe give you a like because you did it. So up to you, but just if you're interested and you want to try to do this more than once, then you know, it's a little bit of a challenge.
Yep. Anyway, we'll just say namaste. Thank you very much for joining us today. And next Sunday we will post the next one. Bye-bye.